6 o'clock. We'll call the May 7th, is that me? Nope, pardon me. May 13th session of the Freetown Board of Selectmen meeting to order. First item will be public discussion. Yes, sir.
Yes, Gary Mendes. Last or previous select board meeting, I put a petition together. We're talking about articles about changing annual and special town meetings from 14 days to 7 days notice. And you told me you usually give 27 days notice. Well, right now we're at 20 days notice. So when will the annual and special town meetings articles get posted?
Probably as soon as we're done tonight, town council will review it and then it'll be ready.
Tomorrow?
All right, okay, Gary, one thing. Please direct the question to the chair.
Oh, sorry.
Thank
Okay, no
you.
problem. And the answer to your question is, the bylaw requires 14 days for annual and 14 days for special town meeting. So we will have it
I
posted.
think it's 7, sir.
Well,
if I'm not
but,
mistaken.
well, I believe it's 14, but no matter. But the thing is, we will have it by 14 days. We spoke to the Finance Committee tonight. They hope to have their recommendations in, at least most of the recommendations in, for Thursday. So we would be able to print it on Thursday. But as Tim reminded me, it is official. We will be able to release it once it's been posted by a constable. So depending on when the constable actually gets out there to do it, will probably be Friday, late Thursday or Friday. So I would say by next Monday, we would have it for the public.
Do you think that's enough time for somebody to give an educated vote on a certain subject if they don't have, you know?
Yeah,
Do you think so?
yes, I
Really?
do.
Okay.
Gary, I'll, just so you know, I made it this point, and I'll show you. That's the town warrant for the town of Chatham for tonight's meeting, 71 articles. They have 14 days, okay?
I just don't think it's right.
Well, okay, you have your opinion, and we'll see what the town does.
Thank you.
Okay, anything else? Yes, Mr. Rodowski.
Rosofsky.
Okay,
I'd just like to make a point that I had discussed with Tim, the fact that the videos of these meetings were coming out in an untimely fashion. He was very expeditious as far as responding to my request. He
As
did
we-
get some videos posted. He did contact me via email. Hopefully, in the future, these continue to get posted in a much more timely fashion, so when somebody comes to this meeting tonight, they may can have reviewed the previous couple of meetings, so they're not bringing up old things and taking up time.
Okay,
But I
and-
just wanted to thank them for that
Okay.
publicly.
point well taken, and just so we're, clarification, there was a glitch.
Yeah, we did have an
They-
internal conversation about that.
They were posted on YouTube expeditiously, they
On
just,
account.
what's that, well, they were posted,
And there was a formatting thing, wasn't
yes.
there? Some kind
Yes,
of
There's
transfer.
some kind of glitch on there. I don't know.
It was a
Didn't give details.
coding problem.
okay. With that being said, any other public discussion? All right, we'll go on to the Board of Health variance for 38 Huron Avenue. Now I'll turn it over to the chairman of the Board of Health.
Here the variance is requested. The address is 38 Huron Ave. Copy of the plans. I'll turn it over to Outback for the green cards and explanation.
We had to notify twice. I'm not sure which set is which. They should be identical. Because the meeting was supposed to be on for 2 weeks ago, and then it got pushed back, so we had to re-notify. So I'll just give both sets.
Okay. No, this is new to me, so I don't know what this is.
You need to read those, say those addresses out loud and read them for the record.
Okay.
Those are abutters that are notified of what is going on in the area.
There's 2 abutters? Or is there more? No, there's a bunch of abutters?
Yes.
No,
No,
it
it
was,
was
No, they're-
notified twice.
Right,
They were notified twice, so because the meeting got bumped.
So,
So it just read off one set.
Okay. Either set, they're the same?
Yeah, they should
They're
be
the
the same.
Okay. So we have David and Anne Marie Belka, 40 Huron Ave. Gifford Preston, Senior Trustee, 5551 South Cedar Street, Colorado. Okay. Joseph Zajac, Joseph
Zajac.
and McGrath, Carey, 41 Huron Ave. Preston Gifford Jr., 7 Lee Ann Drive. That's it. Okay. Now, can you explain this to us?
So it is a septic upgrade. Currently, there is a tank in a leaching pit that has failed a Title V inspection. And we are proposing to replace it with a new tank in field. And we have to ask for several variances due to the size of the lot and location of our wells as long as abutting wells. So there's setback from the tank to the property line, the field to the property line, and the field to a few wells.
This is the tank?
Yeah.
Tank's right here.
Okay,
This is your D box. This is the leach field.
okay.
The setback is supposed to be 10 feet. You couldn't achieve it, so they're asking for that, the 4.8. Again, you're supposed to be 10 from the property line to the leach field. Could not meet it, so they were asking for 7. You'll see you have much more room back here, but you have the pond right here, and as you can see with the sloping, the back of the property just dips right off to the pond. So you don't wanna be back here if you don't have to be. Unfortunately, the front of the property is very small too. So this is the best scenario for this piece of property. I mean, it's either you're asking for a very close setback to the pond, which you really don't wanna do, or you're asking for the setbacks from your property lines. With
As-
the,
As well as a couple of abutting wells.
Okay.
so we
Now,
have,
This is the well for this property?
Yeah,
Yep.
there's 2 wells on the property. I'm not sure, one of them is working, one's abandoned. I'm not sure which is which.
They're almost the same
but
distance?
either or, your
Right.
distance is about
Yeah.
the same.
Okay, and the abutters well?
You have another well up here,
And it's 68 feet?
that one's 68. You have another one here.
And what is the requirement?
It's 100.
It's 100.
And you're comfortable with that?
It's better than a failing system, which is what they have now. And unfortunately, again, you may be able to get further away from wells back here, but you're getting much closer to the pond. And with the slope, it's gonna be hard to keep any kind of breakout from going in that direction. This system that's proposed is much better than what's there, and there aren't very many alternatives, unfortunately, for this piece of property.
Okay.
I mean, my rule of thumb is you're not going within 50 feet of any well. We're over 50 feet on the wells. It's not ideal, but again, it's better than what's there, and it's better than any kind of alternative that they can come up with.
How many, how many bedrooms?
3,
3, and you're gonna, restrict the deed?
deed
Okay,
restrict,
thanks.
absolutely. Yeah, I have that on my, my recommendations to, deed restrict the property. Which would mean, once this upgrade is done, they could never say, well, let's turn this into a 4-bedroom. This can only be a 3 or a 2, but it could never go up.
Okay.
And that we wouldn't issue the certificate of compliance until we receive the deed restriction.
I think you should make note of it on the, application as well. Just make a note that you are restricting the deed, because sometimes when we go back to look at that, I never really noticed before, but sometimes when we go back to quickly look at something like that, we don't really look at that, you know what I'm saying? So,
That can be done.
yeah, that's easy. Just, I'm not saying, just a
No,
quick
right
note,
on
yeah.
the certificate of compliance,
Exactly.
we could put that, that's easy.
Okay. You comfortable with the distance to the wells?
So it's your recommendation?
It's my recommendation on the fact that this is the best option for this piece of property.
All right, I'll make a motion to, To accept the application for the variance, septic tank to the property line 10 to 4 feet, leach field to property line 10 to 7 feet, leach field to foundation 20 to 16 feet, deep hole inspection 2 to 1, leach field to private water supply 100 to 60 feet, and also leach field to water supply 400 to 100 feet with a deed restriction of 3.
I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Oh, hold on, you do wanna ask if there's any, input from any, person in the audience, any,
Oh, okay.
you see?
Any input from anyone out here? No? Okay. So all in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. Next item on the agenda will be the police budget. And will be the police budget for review.
Hello,
Hello. How was your vacation?
very nice,
Thank you.
90 degrees, summertime.
Just like here.
Yeah.
Only with rain and 50
Looking forward to coming back
Where were you?
out in Orlando. So we have the police budget, and Kim was nice enough to prepare the new wage grids. And the increases you see incorporated into this proposed budget reflect the recently negotiated collective bargaining agreement between the town and the police union. I can go through some of those increases if you'd like. I think there are basically 9 areas that have increased.
If you would, chief.
Okay. One of the first areas is an increase of $2,656, and that's for the wages of the police chief. And that is per existing contract between the town and the police chief. A second increase of approximately $169,000 is for wages of police officers. And that amount reflects the FY 18-19 0.025% increase between the gaps and steps. And a 2% across the board wage increase. Additionally, it reflects a 2% across the board wage increase for the next fiscal year, and a 5-day vacation day cash out for 18 police officers. So what happened on this particular collective bargaining agreement, part of it is retroactive to, was it July 1st, 2018? And then, so we have that fiscal year that reflected a 0.025% increase between the gaps and steps, and a 2% across the board. And then for this fiscal year, we had another 2%, so that's why you're seeing this stuff compounded. Another area that increased by $208 was wages for reserve police officers. And again, that reflects the increases negotiated. An additional area of $5,500, that increase was for additional gross overtime. And again, that reflects a 2% increases. Another area was gross overtime for holidays, and that amount increased by $142. Longevity increased by $4,750. Longevity was one of the areas, obviously, that was negotiated, and based on years of service, there were certain amounts that increased based on those years. Shift differential was increased by $16,426. This particular collective bargaining agreement is the first time that a shift differential is being implemented for the 4 to midnight shift. Up until this point, there's never been a shift differential for that particular shift. And then finally, there's a $850 increase for training stipends. Those are specialized areas such as accident reconstruction or breathalyzer maintenance officer, among others. So that's what I have, major areas.
Does Finance Committee have any questions?
All right.
You want me to go over the capital items too, or did we do that the last?
We went over that, I do believe. Anyone have any questions?
Nope.
All right, I'll entertain a motion on the police budget for approval.
Make a motion to approve?
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
All right, chief, for now.
Thank you. Thank you.
It's gonna stay around for the.
Yeah. The other, I think, outstanding item was the telephone line, for lack of a better, I'll turn it over to David, he's gonna fill you in.
Well, I had informed both the Finance Committee and the Board of Selectmen about our plan to replace the current phone system. It's, at this point, approximately 12 years old. It's a landline-based system. It's antiquated and there's been a lot of problems with it, most recently, including static on the line and other noise coming in when there's bad weather. It's a copper line that is fed through Verizon, and what we're proposing to do is switch to what they call a VoIP system, a voice over internet protocol. It's basically an internet-based system that will provide more consistent call quality, and it gives us a whole bunch of capabilities that we didn't have previously under the old system, including having 4-digit dialing to all the town departments, the ability to do conference calls between all the different departments with people being in remote locations. It basically gets rid of our Verizon service and replaces it with the Comcast service. The cost, there were two options, but I'm recommending to the Finance Committee and to the board the one-time cost to buy the system for $21,000. Which would then include a monthly charge to Vertical, which is a supplier of $576, and the $21,000 includes 32 phones, remote support and maintenance for 5 years, $576 per month for Vertical, including long distance and local calling, as well as fax and E99 services. If we select this option, what we're going to do is then remove $8,000 from the MIS budget. Break even, given the fact that we're not paying for the Verizon service, it's approximately 3 years. So, it's something that we should be doing. We should be moving forward with it. And I'm looking for the support of both the board and the Finance Committee in accepting this proposal.
Any questions from the Finance Committee?
Yeah, so the two, that was one of the options.
The other option was leasing it.
And that was what appeared in a previous version of the budget at 15,000?
Yeah, it was, yeah.
Okay.
We're recommending an outright purchase versus leasing it.
And you move that to capital?
Yep, the 21's in capital, and just the 7 for the monthly.
7.5 and the 1, okay.
Is in the MIS.
Thank you.
Any other questions? I'll entertain a motion for that line item, for lack of a better description of it. Phone item, phone line.
What line item is it?
155. Make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. There's nothing else outstanding, is it?
personnel issues, economic development committee.
Yeah, I talked to Bob about that. He recommended 500 and 500 versus the 1,000 that was originally proposed for supplies and materials of $100 for the supplies and materials and 900 for the recording clerk. So he's going to basically divide it into 500, 500.
What, what are,
182.
182.
oh, okay.
I've also had some discussions with Serpad, which is our regional planning consulting agency. Each year, we're allocated 40 hours of technical assistance. 20 hours of those, 20 of those 40 hours go to planning, another 20 go to the Board of Selectmen. We were thinking that maybe using, we actually tried to get the 40 hours this year, or it's just too late. They have already booked out all their programs to the end of the year. But starting on July 1, maybe using some of those 20 hours, at least on one side or the other, to take a look at some of the economic development questions that are being reviewed by the Economic Development Committee, and helping us out there too in terms of technical assistance regarding economic development, particularly in the Asana area and, you know, Churchill and Banks, and working out, you know, some type of a program that would allow us to address any planning issues that may be encountered down there and help them basically promote the property.
Anyone else have any questions?
You're talking about the entire budget, or?
Well, why don't we just make sure that on the economic development
Oh, okay.
first, so we can,
Yeah, right, okay.
and you going on this side?
Yep.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion is made,
Second.
motion made and seconded, for the economic development budget, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, that being it,
So,
yeah,
yeah, we had a bunch of questions that may have been resolved at previous meetings or other, or that we haven't heard about. At least the last time we met jointly, we still had questions about the town administrative budget. There was a hold on that, and I'm not aware that it was resolved. Has that, what's the current status of that?
what was the, did you have a specific question, Gary, because?
Well, my notes just say that you had a hold on that at the meeting, and I don't remember it being,
It's about the $2,000.
it was the 2% increase for David, and,
I believe that the majority of the board stated that they wanted to keep that money in the budget.
okay.
Would that be, no?
No.
Okay, all right, then, okay, because that's what the minutes say, but, all right.
I wasn't here for that meeting.
Oh, yes, you.
There was
hadn't
a one
been in.
before, and we said we would put a hold on it and then discuss it at another meeting.
Oh, do you want to discuss it now?
I think it's something we want to discuss in a executive session,
Which I asked to put it on for this meeting, and
Right,
I
and,
wasn't able to,
okay.
so.
right? And I'd said we would be doing it on a meeting. I didn't say we'd be doing this one. We have a full plate, so we'll continue on with that.
So,
Okay, so this
So-
will be on hold.
so we don't have any information to go on from that. And a similar question for the town accountant, or the
Correct.
line item there. I think there was a hold on that.
So all of those things that you're saying, because next you're gonna probably go to treasurer,
Yeah.
so, yeah, none of those issues are resolved.
Okay.
When are we going to discuss those?
You'd have to ask the chair.
Part of them tonight.
Tonight?
Well, part of them, yes.
An executive session or an
Exactly.
open session?
The executive session.
Okay. Because I didn't
So-
see that on,
So will we
It's
have
on the
information on
second
that in
page,
time
sure.
to make a recommendation?
Excuse me?
Will we have time to make a recommendation on that?
Sure, sure.
So you get that information to us after
Mm.
your executive session?
Well, for the town meeting, we'll have it for you for the town meeting.
Okay, but we won't be able to have it in writing on the warrant for our recommendation.
Well,
We won't have it for, by tomorrow, say,
No,
or
no.
Wednesday. Okay, let's see, I guess the next issue we had was with the Conservation Commission, the part-time laborers for porta pasture. Did the select board have a decision on that?
Which line item is that?
That's,
That's 171.
There's the request for $5,000 for 2 part-time laborers for porta pasture.
I'll open it up to anyone who wants to speak on it.
Can we get an explanation for this?
The explanation, I believe, that was given last time in the meeting was to maintain the gateway there at Porter Pasture, and also to have someone to monitor the town beach as to keeping it clean and keeping things in order there also.
Well, do we know how many hours this is going to be and what it
Um,
consists
Well,
of?
they're saying no, they're not saying.
Well,
I mean, you can work that out.
I believe it's like 2 hours a
It's-
day.
It's something like that,
Yeah.
So I guess one question is whether the gate needs to be open at all. Are vehicles supposed to be down there?
Well, by conservation land, people have the right to use it. I know that they had discussed the possibility of a parking lot at the gate, but I do not believe that is, at this time, there is a parking lot. So-
They did clear some land there, and,
Uh,
is it gravel there, is that what the, yeah.
Yeah, they've made parking for maybe a half a dozen cars.
Okay.
And, but just as a note, all the other conservation areas in this area that I'm familiar with, they're gated and people have to walk in. So I kind of question why you have to open it and close it, but,
That's what
you know.
conservation has decided to do if they could. So basically, it's to maintain the conservation land in the beach, trying to keep things in order as best they can for 2 hours a day.
Yeah, I mean, that's $12,000 for the year,
No,
or
No,
17,
no,
17.
It's
No.
5,000.
No. 12,175 is the whole
Their whole-
personnel
Oh, okay.
that,
It went from
The inlets,
69 to 12.
Oh, okay. So you think that, that $6,000 is for the 2 part-time
5,000.
person?
what is 5,000?
52. Right, see,
Well, 6 to 12.
right,
is
I know,
something,
I
right?
hear you, I hear you, yep.
So this,
Well, actually, it's more like 7, George, but.
well, okay.
So I'm not familiar with the area because I don't go down there all that often. So is the gate open? Is the gate
There
closed?
is no gate right now. They've set it up so that they could put
Put a chain.
like a chain
Mhm.
across. So
But are people supposed to drive down there?
Well, actually, they put up signage that states now authorized vehicles only.
Oh, okay.
And most people, as far as we've seen, have not driven in there, although possible that people have driven in there and ignored the sign.
I know that there was an issue down there with like wire and people crabbing and
Yeah.
leaving all
Yeah.
like nasty stuff behind, so
Yeah,
I
I
know
think
that there was an issue, and
I
that's
do
why,
sometimes see people crabbing.
and that's why they put the, but that's why they were gonna chain it off.
I think so.
Right.
Well, also, I think, were there like, drug deals or something maybe going on down there?
Oh,
Possibly.
Yeah, I mean,
wouldn't
the
know
problem
personally.
was that there were people driving down there at night,
Yeah,
mhm.
and for what purpose, I don't know.
yeah, and that's definitely not supposed to happen.
Yeah.
So it feels like
Yeah.
everybody, I'm unsure of this, so I don't know how you
Yeah.
feel.
But I think it's basically to maintain, make sure that the gate is closed at night.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess it's just a question of whether the gate should be open ever.
Right, so if an authorized vehicle has access to the gate, opens it, does whatever they gotta do, and then closes it once they leave, then it shouldn't be open for
Right.
a long period of time, right? I mean, that's how I would,
Yeah, and I would agree with that.
Yeah, I mean, if you do have it open during the day, then when you're going to close it, you need to have somebody go down there and make sure there are no vehicles that are gonna get stuck in there. But if you leave it closed, then that's not a problem.
okay.
Just seems that 2 hours a day is quite a lot of what's needed.
The other part of it is that the town beach would have someone to go and make sure there's no litter and so forth on the beach.
But
It's,
Well,
the town beach is, has no one to review it at all.
Well,
Are we
and-
talking about the town, is, where,
Well,
is there a different
My-
town beach, or is this the Porter Pass?
oh, there's a different town beach. There's
The other town
Long,
beach. Oh,
Long Pond
Long Pond, okay.
Town Beach also.
well, it's included in this 12,000?
Yes, yes.
In
The $5,000 would also assist
Can
us
I
the town.
recommend that we have somebody from the Conservation Committee come and explain this to us? Because we're just guessing as to what
Well,
really is going on here.
Charlie's on
Yeah,
conservation.
Oh, you are?
Right, yeah,
Oh, okay.
yes.
Well, there you
So,
go. So,
the idea was to have someone to be able to go to both of these places, try to maintain them as best we could, make sure they're clean, make sure there's a porta-john at both of them, make sure that that's maintained. We're looking at 2 hours.
2 hours, yeah, it says 2 people, 10 hours, 20 hours,
and that's for both the Town Beach and Porter Pasture?
Right.
Oh,
10
okay.
hours a week
Yeah.
each.
Okay, that's a
Total
little
20
better.
hours.
Seems more reasonable. So like an hour a day at each, or
Approximately.
2 hours, one at every other day.
Right.
Yeah.
Things
We
like that.
still should have a policy on the gate access to cause I feel like we're leaving that out now, you know what I mean? And I think that's still something that's important to discuss.
I think the issue becomes maintaining and structurally maintaining the gate also, not having somebody drive through it or something like that. Anything else?
Well, is it the Conservation Committee, is it their wish to keep the Porter Pasture open during the day?
They supported it and they
Yeah.
proposed it, actually.
Right. So, yes, the answer to your question is, yes, the idea is to keep people basically at Grampton Road. The vehicles.
Oh,
and-
okay, so if
and then-
that's the case,
right.
then why open the gate? You can-
Well, the thing is that they do have the need to allow people to use the property. So, in reality, you could have someone who has a handicap who wants to go and fish. They can't walk from Grampian Road into Fish. So that's the idea during the day, but not at night.
So it sounds to me that from Memorial Day to Columbus Day, the gates are gonna be open all day.
Right.
From morning until afternoon.
Right.
And then close the rest of the year, is that what you're saying?
Well, I believe we could probably get a written policy on it, but I don't think there's actually a written policy or anything like that, George. We could discuss it at a conservation commission and
Right.
see what.
Yeah, that's, I
goes.
mean, that's, I just like clarification.
Okay.
Okay.
So are we voting on this, or are we gonna
Um,
just,
Okay, well, are you done with that?
Yeah, I guess we're done with that. We'll vote on it tomorrow, I guess, or Wednesday.
All right, do we want a specific vote on this?
well, we've
Fine.
done it for every
Okay,
other
all
one,
right,
so.
okay, fine.
Do you wanna vote
Uh,
on that? I mean, we've done it for all the other ones.
Okay.
Okay, motion?
I'll make a motion, will you?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay. Second?
No.
Okay, I'll second it. All in favor? Aye.
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay, moving right on. Anything else, Gary?
Yeah, let's see. Highways and streets, the note says need to review labor summary by employee on hold.
Which number, Gary?
420.
420.
And we had the, I believe, Tim, is it not right, the summary was correct?
Yes.
Yeah, we
Yes.
went through it,
Yes.
it was correct.
Everyone pretty much agrees that it looks weird, but it is actually correct.
Okay.
Let's see, then, so I had a note on the cemetery, part-time workers, that
Okay.
was approved by the board.
Okay, just hold on 1 second. Do I hear a motion for the highway just to verify that?
I'll make a motion to approve.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay,
The cemetery, 491, it said board votes 4K for temporary part-time workers, is that, I assume that was approved.
well,
We talked about it.
Yes.
Actually, Mike was here when he talked about it.
Right.
We said that we would, he wanted two, and we said that we would only do one.
well, I believe the total was a sum of 4, we cut that from 10 to 4.
I think it was originally 9,300. They have come back and from a subsequent meeting and voted to reduce it to the 4,000.
4.
Okay.
Yeah, make a motion to accept.
I'll second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And the next thing was the health inspection services, 510. That also, I think the select board had a hold on, and I think the big thing is the 10,800 for a nurse.
No, I don't remember that at all. What I remember is a discussion about, the water testing for the beaches and the fact that part of it was moved from conservation to health. I remember us as agreeing to all
To
of
what?
that.
And also the secretary. The administrative assistant.
All right,
That's relative to the additional education, or that's the nurse?
right, right. Well, and then there's the CBA, the potential CBA issue or
Right.
agreement.
So what's the status of that?
Well, we'll be speaking to that tonight.
So Gary,
Yeah.
after tonight, if we make a vote in executive session on which way we're going, then you can talk to David tomorrow and you'll get some of the answers for some of these questions. I would assume.
Can you clarify for me what's going on here with the nurse? That 10,800 from extra nurse service?
He recommended, an addition, nurse's service for education, so Derek spoke to, having someone in the office, to cover when he's not there. Derek addressed this, I believe, twice. Once before you were on the board and since, last week he, addressed that.
The Department of Health has all these requirements now, especially with immunizations and, with school, and then, then we have the mosquito problem and all these things that the, Department of Health are now initiating, and it's not in his expertise. So before we go messing anything up, he thinks that we should have a part-time nurse who would take care of all those specific things, and that's what he's coming forward
And
with.
there's a specific person in that role?
Right.
Yes.
She's
She
already,
actually currently serves in that capacity. It's an expansion of her hours. It's gonna be based on a seasonal basis because, in tick season and when the mosquitoes are there and that kind of thing, we wanna, to have a very active education program as to how, all those kind of, insect-borne diseases, just to educate people as to how to prevent those kind of things, and probably less so in the wintertime when there's.
Can we put this off? I'd like to sit down with Derek and go over this, just to get a better handle on it.
well,
Do we have time?
we have time. It's just that I wish, we had this last week, okay? And, we went over it and we reviewed, and I was of the opinion then that we had agreed to this, and, just to be perfectly honest, George, I'm not gonna change my vote. I don't think it's a problem that, you would drop by and Derek would explain things to you, more deeply, but, I think we do need to move forward.
I will half agree with Charlie, because I was the Board of Health Chair before you came, right? So we had been working on this for quite a long time. So I'll agree with Charlie about the 10-8, but I do think that that line item still has to be discussed because, in executive session, because of the CBA and the, promo.
Okay.
So we'll still be
Discuss that tonight?
we'll still be discussing that in executive session.
Okay.
But that's to the 10-8.
Not to the 10-8, to
Right.
the,
We're good with that.
right.
Well, I say,
Yeah.
we're good, George,
Funding that.
funding that, we have discussed that in the past.
So, has this position become a full-time position now?
No,
no,
no.
you'll never find a nurse for 10,000.
Well, no, I mean, this is in addition to what was
Right.
existing, correct?
No, this will be the total. She was part-time. That's my understanding. It might be in here, hold on. Health.
That was my understanding.
Currently
This is where-
budgeted for 6,000, so she'd go up to 16,800.
Okay. That's not my understanding, but okay.
No,
Is this based on the number of hours?
Here's what I think. I think that we have to watch it for the next year and see how much we use it and how much it benefits or not benefits, and then we look at it again for next year. Or you're the Board of Health Chair now, so you monitor it. Maybe you do quarterlies with her and see, you know, where is this going? Is this worth it? Is it does it have value for the town? If it does, then so be it. If it doesn't, then we can,
Okay,
you know,
no,
look at
that's
that next
reasonable.
year.
I'll sit down with Derek
Yeah.
and go through all this. Okay.
I guess, I had listed on my list here, the Council on Aging budget. Were you guys okay with that? Did you approve that?
I believe. Okay,
I don't see any indication that you didn't, but
right,
it was a little bit
believe,
an issue, I think.
No, I don't remember there being an issue.
yeah.
But,
Got that.
yeah, just things that were covered by a grant or,
Yeah.
but that was okay with everybody?
Well, we're okay with the increase.
Okay. And then I guess my last question is, I'm guessing there's gonna be a little bit of money left over after we, if we approve all the articles. I'm wondering whether it might make sense to have a slightly larger, transfer to the OPEB trust above the 200,000.
Oh, no.
Yeah.
I don't think that is. With the, I will, at this point, I'll address one thing in the regional school district, budget. The total has been decreased,
Right.
and so we want to make sure everyone's
You
aware
just
of that.
skip to the schools.
Okay. So, at the Wednesday meeting, they approved their budget and they reduced it, and our share of that reduction is $81,729.
Well, it's only 57, cause we've already reduced it once
Okay.
to the 20, by 24.
Okay, all right.
So it's just 57,007 that it's gone down since the
Okay.
last time we
All
were
right.
here.
Where does that leave us on the levy?
Well, that would give you an extra 57,000 in the tax levy,
Right, and,
because right now the tax levy for available is 10,787 if you fund all the articles and everything.
okay. So there's where we are, Gary. There's where we are, at
Yeah. Yeah. so
basically
I-
$10,000 below tax levy.
Yeah.
So I know you were just saying that you wanted to put more money on
Well,
OPED.
Well, I'm asking whether that might be a good idea.
I think that if we were in a position where everything that needed to be done in town were done, building wise, like this building or things that need to be fixed in the short term, I would say, yeah, let's throw more money on that. But we also said that we would try to pay down as much on the police station as we could. So if we put that into the capital stabilization or the regular stabilization, we can take that money, a large chunk of it, and pay it down as we can, so. I mean, that's where we were at one point, so, I mean, I do think it's worth discussing, but, I feel like we need to make sure that everything we are doing is taken care of before we go. We pretty much had a game plan, so.
You do have money
Okay,
out
I think
there.
that's it for our questions, unless anybody.
Yeah, what do you think?
Do we have any other business?
Some money in there.
Yeah,
now.
oh, yeah.
So I think we'll adjourn our finance committee meeting. Do we have a motion to adjourn? Second? Okay, all in favor? Thank you.
This is difficult for me anytime. Come in here, sit down, get handed a bunch of
It's
stuff.
hard.
Is there any way to have a prep session before we have a meeting like that?
It's hard because of the timing of the election. If the elections were in January, then you would be part of the budget, right? Because the elections are in April, you have half a person doing it and then the other half. So it's hard.
So we move on now?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay, do we want to recommend the, budget with the variations spoken of? Or-
Are we totally done with it, or?
Well,
we just-
no.
No.
So,
Yeah,
my-
that's my point.
okay, so, do we want to move on, or do you want to recommend the budget that we seem to concur on?
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
So I'm not gonna recommend the budget, without discussing 125,
Right, okay,
the ones that we're supposed to discuss. So we could come back into open session at the end of executive.
at least my only thing, do we want to do everything but anything we have questions on? Or do you want to, put that off? That's my question to the rest of the board.
Because I'm not sure
Okay.
what we have outstanding.
So
We have, Board of Health, Town Administrator, Treasurer, and Accountants budget.
Aren't those going to be in executive session?
Some of them will be, yes, some of
Why
will
don't we
have.
do the executive session?
Or I should
All
say.
right, okay, then I'll move on to item number 3. And that is to consider the warrants for the annual and special town meeting.
Okay.
So, we turn to that,
Yeah, but
and I'm just gonna try to.
Which one are you going to do first?
We'll start out with a special as soon as I can find it. Here we go.
Okay.
Okay. I'll just call up the article, not read it if you can
Okay.
unless there's some discussion. On Article 1 for the special town meeting, the verifying of the collective bargaining agreement. I don't know if you have, the sum we're going to it's in the police budget, okay? But the sum, we have to, appropriate it to the line items, so to speak, or we have to, we have to have the town approve the collective bargaining agreement.
In the
Okay, that's
special
one.
town meeting?
Yes, okay, right there in 1, okay, so,
Because that applies to this fiscal year.
because it applies to this fiscal year.
Okay.
And what we're doing is, we're not raising or transferring into the police budget any money, but the sum there, 53,599,87, is the sum to fund the contract, which,
Rest of the year?
the rest of the year,
Okay.
yes.
Okay.
Okay, is there any questions on that?
No.
Okay, we approve that article,
Yes. Okay, make a motion to approve?
that would be good.
I think you can, there's only what, 5
Okay,
of them?
you want
Yeah,
to
let's
wait,
just do-
okay,
yeah.
all right, fine. Article number 2 would be, raise and appropriate or transfer from available funds, and it's gotta be free cash, correct?
Correct,
Uh,
that would be my suggestion.
$9,105 for phase 1 of the security system at the elementary school.
Mhm.
And article number 3 is to basically, is it to appropriate or to transfer?
It's appropriate in the general fund, the
Oh.
sum, and transfer it from the old account, recycling program fund. We're basically just trying to clean that up. Everybody seems to recycle nowadays, so Derek has some mattresses that he could get rid of for recycling at the transfer station and use the remaining balance in that recycling program fund.
Okay, sum of $1,549.73. Okay, so that's the, sum of the articles for the special town meeting.
All right, I'll make a motion to approve the articles for the special town meeting.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving on to the, annual town meeting warrant. Article number 1 would be the budget. Article number 2,
Did we fix the, oh, sorry, go to 2. Yeah, did we fix
yeah.
2? Okay.
no, well, we have it listed there, we just have to vote on the fixing. So Article 2, is the, salaries for elected officials. We had changed, the moderator, and we had changed the tree warden. The moderator to $150 a meeting, and the tree warden to $22 an hour. He had requested $250, coming up from a sum of $21.78. Okay, so those were the two issues there.
We're giving the tree warden a 12-cent raise?
No, we're giving the tree warden a 52-cent raise per hour, which would be a little bit more than,
22. No, he requested 22.50.
Yeah,
right,
the
We
board
recommended
decided to do
22.
2.
right.
So
Right.
that's 12 cents. Am I totally missing something here?
Makes $21.48 now.
Yes.
Right.
He's
and
gonna give me
we're-
22.
You're recommending 22, so that's 52 cents an hour. He wants to go to 22.50, he wants $1.
Okay.
The $22 an hour is a little bit more than
Two, yeah.
2%, right? And the $22.50 would be just under 5%.
Okay. Okay, I'm good.
Article number 3, the water and
Excuse me.
sewage.
Charlie,
It-
are you guys gonna make recommendations
that.
for the other ones, or did you already do that at some point?
On the other positions,
Yeah,
my point was to leave them as requested, unless somebody else had
Oh.
some other.
Which one do you want?
Still on
Same,
Article 2.
moderator, board of selectmen, same.
Oh, okay.
All right, so we need to make a recommendation. So I'll entertain a motion, unless someone has a.
I'll make a motion to accept as written here. Yep. No? What's the issue? Okay.
Do you want me to make the motion, Lisa?
Yeah, go ahead.
Okay, I'll second the motion. All in favor? Aye.
All right.
Opposed.
What was the issue?
Executive
Article number
session.
3.
Okay.
Article number 3, water sewer enterprise fund. Any issues on that?
Nope.
Article number 4, the transfer of funds for the irrigation, the aeration leaders. Nothing. Article number 5,
Okay, so Article number 4, let's just put a reminder that in the fall, the rest of the 650, because then they'll be done doing their testing and whatever.
they have to actually complete calendar year 19 before DEP, I think, is going to sign off.
Really?
So
I thought
I-
they said at the end of the summer. That was last year. So at the end of the summer last
Yeah.
year, and now we're at the end of the summer
Well,
this year,
they,
so.
they're still in the test. They satisfactory complied last summer.
Mm-hmm.
They have to do it another year. And then so as Kim said, I believe the testing period ends the end of the year. So they wouldn't have an edict from DEP until basically December or January.
It's a long time to have $650,000
Yeah.
held up.
I agree, but
Yikes.
we'll keep an eye on that for sure.
Okay.
This is their own money and their own budget.
Mm-mm.
No,
No, this is
Oh.
our money.
this is
Oh.
this is stabilization.
Oh.
Yeah, it was,
No, that's our money.
yeah, it's stabilization funds.
Okay.
So we
Yeah.
go on?
Yeah,
Okay.
go ahead, sorry.
Article 5, which is the reevaluation program software license.
Yep.
Article number 6, which is payment for reevaluation. Article number 7, the security systems phase 2 at the elementary school.
Okay.
Article number 8, which would pay a sum for a engineering study. The school district has stated that they are going to pay the testing sum up front at least. And then, once down the road, they will
Okay.
with the test. So I would make a recommendation that we strike
Yep.
number 8.
I'll make a motion to withdraw that article.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Number 9 is the article to fund the replacement boilers at the intermediate school. They have given us no dollar amount, basically because they have not had the study. I don't like personally, I don't like the idea of having this article here, basically maybe an open checkbook to them.
Mm-mm.
There
Yeah.
is, at the regional finance committee meeting, Lakeville did state that they would like to see it put off a year if possible. They would have the ability, they believe, to receive money from their green community grant to fund their share. So I would say we strike number 9 also, but I'll accept the
I'll make
motion.
that motion.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to strike Article number 9. Article number 10, to fund sexual assault and domestic violence program in New Bedford Women's Center.
Motion accept.
11 is to resurface the elementary school driveway.
Make a motion to withdraw.
Second.
Okay. All right. Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Nay. Article number 12 is this has metamorphosed into something different. Article number 12 would be to appropriate $25,000 for water line replacement at the Station 2 fire station. If you want, I'll give you a little bit of an explanation on what has transpired. Originally, it was an article to repave Station number 2's parking lot. I went over there, I looked at the parking lot, I saw where it had been torn up and repaved for a water issue, but it's not, the work that was done is not satisfactory to solve the problem. I don't know if you remember, Lisa, at all, the issue, there's a fire hydrant at the present time between door 2 and 3, and that was high up off the ground, because when they originally put the water line in, apparently for free, 25 years ago or so, whenever they did crossroads, they didn't put the water main below the frost line. And it freezes in cold winters, both the water line and the supply line to the station. Back, I think, 3 years ago, the hydrant was broken when they went to open it when it was frozen. So, at a past facilities manager, apparently, he was asked to fix the hydrant. He fixed the hydrant, but he didn't fix the problem.
Okay.
So what we want to do is bring the line down. Do we have, or did they, I believe the finance committee walked away with those.
I have some of them.
Do you have them? Okay.
Oh, is that what this is?
Yes.
All right, so if you look at the picture, there's Station 2. The red line is the present water line into Station 2. The red line that goes off to the right is a service line for the building in front and the house just north of that building on County Road. What we propose to do is to bring the line in to approximately where the blue circle is, about 35 feet in from the roadway, and place the hydrant there. So we don't have to have a full 6-inch line running to the hydrant in front of the station. Then we would, from that hydrant and that line, we would run a 2-inch service line to the fire station. And the
Is it the fire station here?
no, the fire station
The
is
red
the red
building?
building behind. And the service would be, the service line to the building in front and the home next door would be hooked up to that 2-inch station service line at present. If they, and what we're also going to do is come back to the line or the circle, run a service line over to the property line. So if they decide that they want to abandon their present service that is too high, they're not gonna be ripping up the parking lot, and they would be able to hook up on that side.
The hydrant's also gonna be there on the side.
Right, the hydrant's gonna be,
Okay.
moved from the station to solve the problem and do it right.
All right.
All right? 13 is for cemetery lot sales account. 14 is for service of veterans' graves. 15 is for improvements to the drainage and laneways at the Sonnet Burying Ground. 16 is to authorize the leasing of an ambulance for the fire department and a dump truck for the highway department.
Council had recommended that we merge the two into one.
But if the board prefers, we can keep them separate to two separate
No,
articles.
that's fine.
17 is the same for police cruisers. 18 is to increase the exemption for blind persons. 19 would be to change the wording of the personal bylaw compensation plan from the grid that you see in front of you to authorize us to annually, or when we need to make adjustments to the salaries of the list below that.
Just a question, I don't have a problem with that. Are we currently doing annual performance evaluation?
They are within the departments. So,
Okay.
it depends on, well, they're supposed to, within the board's prerogatives.
So David's gonna start doing these
Performance
people,
reviews.
right?
Yes. Well, for one thing, library director
Right,
would not be,
right.
that's for one, I see. So that's 19. We good with that? 20 is the bylaw change to conform to new Massachusetts general laws. And okay, 21 is a zoning article. Okay,
Charlie?
yes.
21 is
Oh.
the one that Attorney Rich recommended against.
Okay.
Just wanted to make sure you were
Yeah,
aware of that.
okay, right. He doesn't feel that they should be rules and regulations. Kevin Damaris and Bob Jost were in front of the Finance Committee a little bit earlier, and they had, their argument is that everything else is subdivision,
Site plan review.
site plan review, all that are in their regulations, and they would like this to be in the regulations. One of the things that they brought out is something like on Campanelli Drive, one of the lots backs the highway, and right now the setback has to be 100 feet. If they wanted to build a building 80 feet from the highway, they couldn't under the bylaw, and they would have to have, so that's basically their argument for that.
So, if I understood that right, they wanna change the article and make it a rule that they can,
They want to change a bylaw.
Right, they wanna change a bylaw,
And make it a regulation.
and make it a regulation.
right, so if it's a regulation, they can then do whatever the board wants without going to a town meeting. Is that correct? If it's a
Well,
bylaw?
they could vary off of their regulations. So,
Right, but my question is, currently, because it's a bylaw,
right,
if they want to deviate from the bylaw,
right,
Okay.
they would have to go, the building would have to go before zoning review for a variance. It could,
okay,
I don't have the answer to your, I have no idea, so that's
Yeah.
something we would have to ask
Yeah.
town council, I don't know.
yeah, because it seems to me that if I understood this correctly, that the way it is now, it would take a town meeting vote
right,
to change. But if we change it to what they're requesting, they can just vote on a change.
They could allow a waiver.
right, they could
They
allow
could allow
waivers.
waivers, right.
Right.
So this is basically making the process a lot easier,
Right,
right?
right. They wouldn't, in other words, they wouldn't have, a person who wanted to build a building that was in violation of the bylaw would have to go before zoning review, Board of Appeals for variance. This would allow them to streamline it. The planning board would make the decision basically.
Do you think that that's a good idea, to give them,
Um,
you know, I mean,
Well,
we have bylaws for a reason.
right, okay, but the question before us is, you know, do we approve the article or not? My opinion would be, this is another elected board who has asked for this to go forward. I have no problem personally with it going forward to the people to vote. The people would then have the decision what they wanna do. That would be my personal opinion, George.
I'm against it, so.
Okay. Do you have,
No, I follow your, thinking on that one. I mean, I'm not a planning board person, so I'd like to hear what they have to say about it. And then when I vote, I'll vote as a citizen.
okay, Article 22 would be changing the regulation for truck stops, where they can go. It would end up being only off of Innovation Way. 22, another, just the map. 24 is just
The lot coverage.
the lot coverage, and basically they're just articulating clearer what is allowed, what is area and what lot coverage and what is not. 25 and 26.
Let's
Basic
back up to
petition.
24. This is going to allow the builder to basically cover 100% of the land.
No, not at all. Not at all. Jeff, the building commissioner, has brought questions to the planning board about what is and what is not considered for lot coverage. Basically, so that if someone has to replace a well, they have to replace a septic system, that sort of thing. We know what the structures are that cover the lot.
Things that didn't require a building permit, such as sheds and above-ground pools and things like that, wouldn't be used in the calculation.
But if you look at the language of the bylaws, this would also allow blacktopping or putting a driveway for 100% of the lot if that's what they wanted to do.
But I think when Kevin explained it, they can do that now. There's
Right.
nothing that can, there's nothing in the bylaws or the regulations or anything that we have that restricts them from doing that. So if
That's
they
not
wanna,
That's not true.
Well,
that's exactly what Kevin said to us when we
Well,
were
he might have
upstairs.
said it, but
Well-
it's not true.
Well, okay, but George, once again, we're getting into a discussion over whether, the issue is whether or not it goes on the warrant. And
Okay.
the issue is that this particular article in the bylaw, I do believe, only deals with residential. Is that correct, Jeff?
No.
Yeah.
No, I'm asking Jeff,
It's-
George.
They said it did
What was
affect only
discussed
residential.
was building coverage. Building coverage would be counted for anything that has a foundation, so smaller sheds. People can put a foundation underneath that, but it's not required. Anything that is required for a foundation would be considered building coverage. So sheds would not be considered building
Okay.
coverage.
George, we're not gonna have a discussion
Okay.
on it. We're only gonna have it,
Alright.
does it go on the warrant or not?
Okay.
And that's what Kevin mentioned, you know, we kinda talked about it, because sheds could be I believe that they are now counted as building coverage. And we're trying to eliminate the building coverage percentage, with accessory structures would count as building coverage, sheds would not. And to make that determination would be anything that requires a foundation.
All right,
But
so,
we
all right.
discussed this a
Anything
little
over
bit.
200 requires a foundation.
all right, so the question is, are we going to carry this article on the warrant? Okay, motion is made, second, okay. Article 25 and 26,
Should we vote on this?
well,
I'm
we're gonna vote on it
At the end, we're gonna vote on, do you wanna
Well-
vote on that one separately?
Yeah, because, you know,
Okay,
Okay,
all right, well, I would suggest you make the motion.
hold
At
on,
the
I'll,
end.
I'll make the motion because we have to, make it to accept the articles. So I'll make a motion to accept Article 21, 22, 23, and 24.
Okay. I'll second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye, all
No.
in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Article 25 and 26, will be similar, and they have to do with, a bylaw change for town meeting notification. They're a civilian petition, so they will be on the warrant no matter what we say. So we'll go from there. Article 24 would be transferring a sum of money to the capital stabilization fund. And Article 28 would be transferring a sum of money to the stabilization fund. I'll entertain a motion.
All right, I'm gonna make a motion to, recommend the articles, as written, although I did not recommend Article 2 as written, and withdraw Article 8 and Article 9.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask a question? I thought there was a motion to withdraw Article 11.
Yes, sorry, thank you. Article 11 as well.
Okay.
That was the paving of the elementary school.
Okay. The question, I'll go, how about if I accept the motion to accept the warrant as that, but I would like to come back and discuss 11 a little bit then. So do you want to?
Well, then
discuss-
just, let's discuss
Okay.
Article 11 now.
What, I'm just wondering, what's your reasoning?
This,
Lisa?
the schools didn't ask for that,
Well,
so
they
had no idea what was happening.
Well, there's two things of that. At our, at a past, finance committee meeting, they had spoken about the need to do that, and that they would be forwarding, a, request for that. The other thing is, the driveway is at least 40 years old. It has failed. So we can do it now or we can do it later. My reasoning to do it now is it's the annual town meeting.
Mm-hmm.
It's the annual financial town meeting. It would be better brought up at an annual town meeting.
No, I agree with
I
that.
think that.
Are we
than a-
going
than a
all the
special.
way up the driveway, or,
Well,
Chuck, are we going all the way up, all the way to the school?
The whole thing, Bullock Road entrance, yes.
so the whole driveway.
All the way where the buses unload, because it's not really safe for kids to drive.
So that whole circle, all the way back out to Bullock Road? All right. All right.
Okay, all right. So we'll accept, or put on the warrant Article 11. All right, so.
Are you all right
So
with
it's
that, George?
included,
Okay.
including
Yeah, so
Including
we'll
the-
include, so we'll keep it to just, withdraw Article 8 and Article 9.
Okay. Motion made, seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
All right, moving right along.
Charlie, just wanted to make sure you wanted the finance committee recommendations put on when they're ready.
Right, right. And if they don't give an article by the time, by Thursday, no recommendation.
Okay.
Okay. All right, item number 4, Chapter 90, project requests, Burley Road and Bryant Street. Good evening.
Okay.
Two projects as of right now that we gonna try to do is to cold plane and pave Brayley Road. Pretty much from number 101 Brayley Road, where we ended off a couple of years ago, to the Chipaway Road intersection. comes in at $218,544. And the second project is Bryant Street, basically between Town Line in Berkeley to Route 79. That will come in at $31,617. Leaves us approximately, I think, $160,000, give or take, in our Chapter 90 funds, which we're hoping to do the Highland Ridge Road neighborhood. Just waiting for figures from the contractor.
That would be in addition this year, for this fiscal year?
Yeah, no, I'm hoping, I've just been waiting for figures from the salesman. So
Okay.
hopefully the next selectmen's meeting, I'll have another Chapter 90 request for that project. It was
All
a
right.
question of whether we had enough money to accomplish that project.
Mhm.
How much does chapter 90 cover these expenses?
100% of the road work.
100%?
So the town gives us, there is no money really allocated to do any real road projects. This year, I think we got $403,000. That's about the average. We've been averaging about $400,000 a year. It doesn't go very far in the grand scheme of things. But
So the 400,000, that's our maximum that we can get, is that it?
every year the state gives you an allocation. It's based on the formula. How many people you have in town, how many miles of road in town, how many people, residents work within the town, and, like I said, on average, we get about 400,000.
And how many miles of road can you do for that?
Not much.
Not much.
Not much. You know, if we have 105 miles of road, you're lucky if you get a mile, maybe 2 miles.
2
So that
miles.
means you don't you won't revisit that road for another 50 years, which if you pave a road today, in all reality, the maximum life of that road is maybe 12 years. If we chip seal a road, which we still do on many secondary roads,
What is that exactly?
it's a liquid emulsion that they'll spray on the road, and then they go over with a 3/8 chip stone, basically like a pea stone, and it just gives it a wear surface. We've been averaging a good 10 years out of most roads that we've been doing, 10 or 12 years. I think we're doing High Street, and I think that's been on a 12-year cycle since it was last done. And doesn't really add to the structural integrity of the road, but it gives a wear surface. So it buys you time. So on average, the life expectancy of both is pretty darn equal, but a chip seal is not even a quarter of the price. But there's certain roads that you can't chip seal, you shouldn't chip seal. Any roads with heavy truck traffic, a lot of turning, school buses, that type of stuff. We do a pretty happy, this year we're chip sealing 3 roads, and we hope to be paving 3 roads.
Thank you.
I'll make a motion to approve chapter 90 funds, for, $31,617 for Mill and Pave Bryant, and also for $218,544 for Mill and Pave Brayley.
Like from number 2, whatever it was.
Yeah, 101 Brayley Road to Chipaway.
Four Corners.
Okay.
Do I have a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you,
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
take care. Sorry, the next item is the agreement between Stop and Shop and the town of Freetown regarding using the laneway, from Stop and Shop to, Narrows Road for the 4th of July parade.
Make a motion to approve.
Second.
You
Motion
ready
made,
for that day? You ready? You ready?
Okay.
You have to march in the parade. on July 3rd. 4th. Yeah. Okay.
Didn't tell you
All
that,
right.
Pat?
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, item number 6 is the monthly, ambulance abatements, in the sum of $78,017.84 for contractual allowances and, $8,363.13 for, write-offs.
I'll make a motion to approve.
Okay.
Second.
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Item number 8 is, pardon me, number 7 is, the Sunday entertainment license for the St. John Newman Parish for the, Lakeside Festival.
Make a motion to approve with discussion.
Second.
Okay, motion made and seconded, any discussion?
Jeff, do you go down there and inspect those amusement rides and everything?
With the fire department, and, I do some of the gases, gas tanks, the fire department does that as well.
Okay. All right.
Amusement.
Do you require any,
The state does that?
Right.
Okay, all right, thank you.
would you also want to require evidence of insurance and certificates from, various and sundry, amusement device operators, or is that, you haven't done it in the past?
No.
Um, I believe that insurance and so forth, is required in the inspection, David,
All right,
but,
okay.
we,
I just wanted to make
Yeah.
sure we didn't have a gap there.
right, well,
Cause it's from the diocese, right, so,
well, yeah, the diocese would, be the property owner.
right,
And then, but also like the amusement company, they would have to have their
yeah,
own insurance.
they would have to,
They'll have to sign it.
okay.
Oh,
So, I don't know what all right, so, do I have a motion? Do we have a motion?
Yep.
Okay, second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Item number 8 is road opening for, Campanelli Drive. We actually, I think we're catching up on this one.
and it's already,
Yeah.
Oh, my back. Oh, they've already done?
Yes, they actually are already done.
What exactly is that?
Well, whenever a road is, a public way is opened up, they put a request before the board
What, to
via,
approve the street?
right, well, no, not to approve the street, but approve the opening of the street. Goes before the chief of police, goes before the highway surveyor, we basically just verify, their work,
Sometimes it's to put a, like
gas,
fix the gas
Gas
line or
line.
fix whatever is going on, in just in that, right, in just in that
This is
area.
not approving a street.
No, no, that's a long process.
yes. Item 9 is,
You guys have to approve 8.
okay, pardon me, so, yes, a motion to approve, road opening permit?
So, so
Okay.
moved,
Second.
All right, motion made and seconded, all in favor?
aye.
Aye.
Number 9 is, any further discussion and approval of the, junk dealers and secondhand dealers rules and regulations.
these are rules and regulations that were presented to us by the police chief. They have been used in other communities relative to those types of operations. Basically making sure that, there's a system and a procedure where, items that are taken in are accounted for in some kind of a log. Also ensuring, allowing the police to inspect the log to make sure that items haven't been stolen or are being, I don't know what you call that, but basically making sure that the items that have been taken in are legitimately available for sale. And I just wanted to put this on as a first reading, so with the hope that the board will take a look at it and we can bring it back at a subsequent meeting to have a little bit more discussion about it relative to any changes the board might want to incorporate and or take out.
So, is there any discussion?
Just make sure.
I have two items I'd like to see. On the secondhand dealers' hours of operation, I would like to strike the actual hours, so to speak, and replace it with language similar to the licensing authority will regulate the hours of operation.
Yeah.
So, because it could be that someone, depending on the, basically the, secondhand dealer, the hours could need to be regulated for a number of reasons. And I think 9 o'clock might be a little bit too late. And the other thing is that I would like to see in the regulation where there would be a public hearing on the initial issuing of a license, just so anyone could be heard that wishes to be heard.
And the other thing you probably want to do is make sure that in the license application, it specifies specifically where the address is, because you don't want people applying just for a
Get
license without a specific location that's been identified and properly zoned for that type of use.
Do we have an applicant now?
We potentially had one, but the situation didn't work out. That's what prompted us to start thinking about some of the issues that would be associated with the pawn shop or with a secondhand merchandise store, per se.
Does anyone have any issues with those?
No, I don't
added
have any issues with the two that you added, but I do want to look over it and maybe bring it back to the next meeting.
Yeah.
Okay.
Next item is, item 10, fire station number 1 door bid process. I would like to start to develop the bid process as soon as possible as part of a timetable for doing the project. The fire chief needs to order a fire truck. He wants to make sure that the space he's going to try to put the fire truck in is big enough, and if he doesn't do it, we could end up with a truck that doesn't fit in the station. And also we need to kind of move because engine 1 is wearing down, and to use it frontline, it's over 25 years old now.
So where are we with this?
So basically, we have the funding in the budget, the capital budget, and we just need to develop a bid process and to put it out to bid so that it can be done as soon as we can, because also we're gonna have a limited season to do the work. So this would be, so my theory is we authorize David to start the bidding process, and by the time that the bidding process is ready to go, we should have the funding verified, and we'll be able to start as soon as we can after July 1st.
So you can get the big documents ready.
Right.
Can you actually put it out to bid without having funding?
Well, probably by the time we get the documents done, it will be,
So
Yeah.
is it, okay,
It could
it's
be
in,
subject to available funding.
Yeah. We can- But,
That might discourage bidders because they would say, hey, you know, why do we wanna put a lot of time and
But-
effort into that if we don't know if it's actually gonna get bid?
we're only talking about three weeks.
right, so I say, yeah, get the bid documents ready, but
Right.
we can't put it out on the street.
Right, well, yeah.
I say
but
on
yeah,
June 4th, you can put it out on
Right,
the
yeah.
street.
Yeah, okay, yeah,
Cause then you'll have the funding for it, but,
Right.
and then you wouldn't have to say subject to funding,
Mhm.
cause you're right, it's gonna deter people from even bidding on it, cause why would they bother if they're not even sure they're gonna get the job or not?
but I would assume it probably is gonna take 3 weeks to, get everything.
To pull the bid
Yeah, at
documents
least,
together, yeah,
So,
okay.
that was
So how do we know how much to fund it if we don't have the bids?
well, we've gotten an,
We have an
estimate,
estimate.
we have an estimate.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
From, the architect. So do I hear a motion?
I'll make a motion.
to prepare the bid documents, but not
Right.
to, yeah,
Release them.
Right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 11 is the minutes from April 16th and 24th. Any issues?
Make a motion to accept.
second,
Motion made and seconded, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. 12, new police station project update.
so the police department, Facebook page, has a nice aerial video, if you haven't seen it, it's really awesome. I'm hoping, Tim, you can put it on our website.
I tried, Ally's been in touch with TJ to get me the file.
Perfect, because not everybody's on Facebook,
I
and
hadn't
it's
thought about
it's
that.
pretty impressive when you look at it from above. The footings are going in, everything's going actually according to schedule. There hasn't been any holdbacks on anything, and if you go by there, it's the site itself is clean, and the construction crew and everybody is doing a phenomenal job at keeping
It's
everything.
ahead of schedule.
Yeah, it's really awesome, so. Anyway,
All right.
but check out the aerial video, cause it's, quite impressive.
Put in it, ask them to put in that Dropbox.
Have you seen
Oh.
it?
She had the file.
No,
It's
for the
over.
drones.
I guess
Must
it's a
have put
huge, it's
them.
like a
Mhm.
gigabyte plus.
They're good.
Yeah, it's
You
awesome.
won't be able to send that by email.
Okay, speaking of police stations, contract for CW Cole Engineering for police station construction testing. And,
What is that testing?
okay, all right,
Oh, I was gonna say, do you want me to address it or?
sure,
All right. The situation has developed where the original contractor, Briggs, the schedule hasn't, excuse me, hasn't allowed them at times to be available at the time when our general contractor needs to, needs to be able to check, for example, soils, compaction, the steel and things like that. What we're doing here is arranging to have an alternative testing source available in SW Cole Engineering. They've included a schedule in terms of their, what they require or charge for each of the individual types of testing that they do. For example, like before a pour, they would test the quality of the concrete before it's, test the rebar, test the structural steel. Hopefully Briggs is gonna be able to do a lot of that, but in an instant where they can't make it out on that day, and we want, in terms of the program evaluation chart, in terms of looking at, how the project is flowing together, we don't wanna lose days because we're waiting on something like that, so we wanna be able to use an alternate funding source or an alternate contractor to do the testing, and that's what that's about.
Not funding,
Not
it's all
funding.
within funding.
No,
So
I
this is
meant
just
that
an alternate engineer, so it doesn't hold down the project.
I didn't mean funding.
No,
Strike that.
I know, but all of a sudden it'll be like, oh, they
my
needed more
God.
funding.
Mm,
No,
yeah, no,
not funding.
I misspoke.
Sure.
Alright.
So,
Mr. Chair,
yes,
is, in the original contract, is the testing, the site testing included in the original fees that we
It
Yes,
is.
it
Yep.
is.
Yes,
Is the additional cost gonna be deducted from the
there's not gonna
GC
be any additional
There's no
cost.
additional cost.
for this? In other words,
This is all within the,
it's gonna
within,
be
so,
taken from the original
so if
contract
you
and
can't show up,
reallocated.
Yes.
he's gonna show
It's
up.
gonna be reallocated.
Yep.
Yeah, we just don't wanna lose days
just wanna
waiting
understand.
for the, have people sitting idly while we're, trying to get the project done.
All right.
I'll make a motion to sign the contract with SW Cole Engineering.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Charlie,
Yes.
before we proceed, we received the contract documents back from,
The well.
about the bedrock well for the project. So we don't slow things down, I just wanted to bring it to the board's attention that we can vote to do that and then reaffirm the
Okay.
vote at the next meeting.
All right.
We can sign.
Yes, just sign the
Okay.
things. It was already awarded a few meetings ago. It's just the
Okay.
documents have come back from me.
So what do we need to do now, Tim?
Just sign off on
Yeah,
it.
you
just
vote
sign
to
So they
sign
can
off
begin
and-
doing
There's no motions or anything.
You can vote to sign the contracts, and then I'll add it to the agenda to reaffirm next week.
Okay. Do we wanna?
Yeah, I'll make a motion to sign the well contract. Oh, I can't remember who the well,
Great.
Ogden.
Ogden, that's it.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is the town administrator's report.
Okay, I already mentioned about the SERP and the 40 hours. That was one of the things I wanted to talk to the board about. On some of the other things I've been working on, I've been in touch with Kelly Engineering regarding the outstanding school lease and the fact that we need to define the scope of the area. We had talked about how we were going to potentially look at dividing up the parcels so the school portion, the lease as it's currently written, encompasses the entire parcel. And we don't want to be doing that because the police station building is also on that parcel. So what we're going to do is we're going to develop, it's called a lease exhibit with a written purchase or with a written description of the area that we're defining. I've sent that copy of the map over as well as the proposal from Kelly to the superintendent. I'm going to be following up on that. To date, he has been receptive to it. The cost is $500. It's relatively nominal. And then what we'll do is we'll edit the lease agreement, which was never signed, incorporate the lease exhibit as part of the lease agreement, and have the board sign off on the lease for the Freetown Elementary School with the district. On the Freetown Screw property, a couple things. One is that we're going to need to take a look at the housing authority in terms of reactivating them. And so I would like just basically permission to advertise to fill any vacancies on that. We also are going to need a legislative appointment. I believe that's done by either the governor or the legislation. And so I just want to keep that moving forward. I've had some discussions with Brian in Acushnet Town Manager about having a joint meeting between the Acushnet Board and the Freetown Board to discuss the transfer of property. As everyone knows, both town meetings agreed to, Acushnet agreed to release. The town of Freetown has agreed to accept. However, the question, it has to be transferred through legislative action. The question then becomes whether we're going to acquire the land in Acushnet and rewrite our bounds, or whether we're going to just own a piece of land in Acushnet. So that's one of the reasons why we want to have the joint meeting to at least discuss that. I have been notified by Barbara Place, Director for the COA. There's going to be a senior luncheon that she's inviting the board to at Jade Garden in New Bedford on June 10th at noon. She needs an RSVP by 5/28/19. American site visit, we originally scheduled 2 dates, and it didn't seem to work out in terms of having people available for those 2 dates, so we're working on rescheduling that. We just last week had completed the MVP program. We did the 2 workshops. There's going to be a report generated by Serped relative to the vulnerabilities that we had determined as a group for the town, both on infrastructure, environmental, and I believe it's structural. As a result of participating in the MVP program, there's a number of grants that have been are available. Interestingly enough, one of the issues identified through the MVP program as a critical issue is the Monument Dam. At the same time that we were meeting and basically prioritizing our potential vulnerabilities and our assets, we got a call in the office about the Monument Dam, and that we actually had a meeting today about that. Doug Gove from AECom, who's the contractor for DOE, came in and basically went an overview about what they're going to do in terms of testing. And he gave us a description of the services, which include testing soils, drilling, testing, having a diver go in and look at the dam itself, and basically determine the options that we have regarding the dam. It's an abandoned dam. It's one of only 6 in the state that have been approved to have this kind of analysis done. So we're moving forward. They're going to be coming out next Wednesday to start their initial work on the testing, and as it goes along, I'll fill in the board as to what specifically is going to be done about the dam. Today we talked about the possibility of removing the dam entirely, or just breaching a portion of it that would allow us to basically redirect water and minimize any vulnerability or impact from a flood event.
Where's this dam?
Monument Dam?
Or where the?
I actually haven't visited it.
Okay.
I don't.
It's the dam that is at the intersection of Locust and Mill Street, where basically Lemmy Engineering, steel covered building just to the rear of that. There's a dam.
This is the mill next to it, and
Yeah, we had a problem there a few years ago.
Yeah, they breached the other
Forge
dam.
Road. Forge. They
Forge,
should do
yeah.
Forge dam. If I may just interrupt you for a minute. In the discussion, I would like to see us just notify the abutters
Yeah.
okay, we did talk about that.
to that. Maybe for early next week, send them out a letter just telling them that they're gonna be in there doing certain activities, so
Right.
they'll be aware of it, and we'll keep them informed.
Yeah,
so at
you
least
might
they
wanna
have
you might wanna sit down and have a meeting with them, with DCR when the time comes, because when you start messing with that stuff,
Yeah, you gotta be
They-
concerned about what the implications are downstream.
yeah.
We don't wanna create a problem by,
Right,
So better to communicate what's going on than,
so, so if we could do the, what's it, Mill River,
Monument Pond Dam.
right, but the road that's,
we can have the
Yeah,
assessors
yeah, I
pull
know.
out the
Yeah.
abutters.
I forget the name of it, Tim, those people, and then,
Mhm.
I think there's only one property owner, downstream between there and
Mhm.
Tisdale, but
No change the upstream, the pond there, will that disappear if you?
I guess the
The
pond
dam.
is not active.
The pond,
The pond
pond
is pretty
behind, the mill there would be reduced, moving the dam. Of course, it depends on what they do. They have an issue in that there's a spillway that goes into the mill where, there was an old
Generator turbine.
turbine,
Mhm.
spillway. So there's gonna be the potential of issue to the foundation of part of the building. So they're gonna have to investigate that thoroughly. It's, speaking to
Yeah.
the man, there'll be a thorough investigation as to what they're gonna do before they do anything there.
Two other things, that I get asked to participate in a working group session on legislation regarding the solar pilots. Through the Mass Municipal Association, they're developing legislation at the time. Right now, they had a group of lobbyists there, and they had a group of assessors, and I represented the town. I know that Dartmouth was involved as part of the conference call. Basically, the two groups are trying to determine what the best way is to handle the whole situation of pilots. I reiterated our position relative to the fact that we, considered a taxable property, and we weren't really interested in pilots per se, because we see it as a business and it's a taxable business. But they're going to develop the legislation. Actually, they had left it to the lobbyists to put it together, and then MMA is going to review it through with the assessors and hopefully get something back that they feel. There's a whole issue about valuation and how you determine it, whether it's an income-based valuation or a business type of valuation. The thing that they want, what we heard from the lobbyists, is that every community is different, and as a result, they go into the town and they put together a plan, and then they get to the point of where they're ready for construction, and they find out that that it's going to be a pilot, and that it's going to be more than they had budgeted for it, and it affects the financing. There's also the question of whether the first step. One of the things I had suggested was that in terms of the legal part of it, the first step should be taking it to the assessors to determine the methodology, and they want a standard methodology. Every community is doing it differently. They want one kind of standard methodology that's used to value the solar projects, and have them, every community use that. That's the ultimate goal. So I don't know whether I'm going to be continued to be asked to participate in that, but it was a good experience. I learned a lot about solar and the actual project or the legislation relative to those type of projects. I have authorized a street light audit. We had talked about that in terms of changing over our sodium vapor lights to LEDs. Part of the requirement in order to get the funding that we have applied for, which is $9,500 from MAPC and another funding organization, that we needed to audit all of the lights, number one, to determine if they're there, are they on, what type of sodium vapor, how big, small the light is, and also give a recommendation as to what it would be replaced with as a comparable LED light. So that was $725. That's going to be done sometime this week, actually. So we're moving forward with that. That's about all I got.
All right, thank you, David. Item number 15 is, probably David should address it a little bit more thoroughly than I would, but it's an offer basically from Serped to assist in developing what we need to do to become a green community. So I'll turn that over to you.
All right,
also.
there are monies available. I was contacted by Eric R. Bean from Serped. The first step would be, and they can provide up to $7,500 to the town to do this, to take a look at Criterion 1 and Criterion 2 to review existing bylaws and permitting and assist in the development of new bylaws and amendments as needed. Criterion 3, review, set up, enter data into Mass Energy Insight, assist with preparation of energy reduction plan, including scheduling energy assessments and coordinating with municipal facility personnel. Criterion 4, drafting a fuel-efficient vehicle policy and or assembling a vehicle inventory. And then finally, to consolidate all the documents in preparation of submitting a green community designation application. When we get to that point, we can actually get assistance in terms of assisting with the reporting and all of the other functions that go along with it. I know there was some resistance to the green community based upon previous attempts to establish it in town and town meetings' rejection of the green community. But we're now at a point where pretty much all of the other communities in the area include, just based on what Eric has told me, Plainville, Rochester, Westport are gonna go on this year, Cushnet, Dartmouth, Dayton, Lakeville, Brockton, a whole bunch of other communities. There's lots of money available. I've been contacted, I met with Nate Darling today, who's the building inspector down in Lakeville. And we had a good discussion about, the potential costs that would be added. It's only for new construction, it's not for renovation, it's not for an addition on your house. It'd be a new, and what I read just before I came here, which wasn't mentioned, it's only applicable to buildings, residential homes over 3,000 square feet. So a smaller home wouldn't be subject to that. I'm going to clarify that because they didn't mention that, but I want to make sure that that's the case, as well as for new commercial construction. I've talked to Jeff about it. He says right now 50% of the people or the contractors that come in to build homes are providing the town with the HERS rating, which is the home energy rating system that's required as part of the grant. That's the stretch code and all of that. And a lot, because so many of the builders who are building in other communities are having to require with that stretch code and with the HERS, the rating system, they come into the community expecting that they're going to have to do that as part of it. The homeowners are asking for it because they know that it on a new construction it's going to provide a rate of return on their investment because it makes their house more efficient, and the banks are now actually looking at that also. They're saying that that as part of the financing, because that allows them to purchase more of a house as a result of the savings that will be generated now and in the future relative to the operation and maintenance of the house. So what I would recommend, it's board decision, that we submit an application for the $7,500 to prepare to become a green community. Once again, there's no obligation. If at some point the board says no, we really don't want to do this, but at least we're taking that first step to addressing some of the issues and basically applying what we have now to the criterion that they've established to participate in the program. It should be noted in Lakeville, they have received over $500,000 in grants, and they are planning on using the grant program, the Green Community Program, to help pay for their portion of the new heating system at the school. So if we can, time it in such a way, we might be able to also offer that same tax relief to the residents of Freetown by getting a grant that would pay for our half.
Okay, so I'll ask the board for a motion to move forward. Okay.
I'm still leery, like, as far as the costs that are gonna be borne on the homeowners to, because the cost, whatever the cost of the construction is gonna be borne on by the homeowner. So what is that? What is,
I'm hearing
what is
$1,200
the
to
stretch code?
$1,800.
What is that gonna do to the homeowner? And, I mean,
Well, they have a prescriptive code for that, which is more, it's more strict than the HERS rating. HERS, so you're spending more for the prescriptive, going by the codes, opposed to doing the HERS rating, which are lower, but now you're paying a little more for the, a company to come in and do it. So it does average out, but in the long run, with the HERS rating, your house the homeowner's gonna be saving more money opposed to doing the prescriptive, where you're gonna have more leaks. At this point, we can either do the HERS rating or a res check. Res check is prescriptive. Again, the prescriptive is a lot stricter on what you have to do, so that being more stricter, you have to pay more money for materials on that
Right.
part, opposed to the HERS rating where you could be paying a lot less. It's kind of the same. I was 50-50 until today, after talking to Nate from Lakeville, and now I really feel comfortable going on board, because my concern was, well, the homeowner's gonna be paying a lot more, which after today, I don't see that. If it is, it's like a 1%, it's very small, because if you're talking a $250,000, $300,000 home, they're gonna be paying $1,800 for a HERS rate. Very, very small, but the savings over time, it just washes that out after a year or two.
We live in a peculiar town where people don't like to be told how to build. So I know this went down in flames before, so I'm just like, people don't tell me how to build my house and don't tell me what.
But we do have a
But
building
we do,
code.
we do, no, I understand that, but now
and-
we're gonna make it even more, we're gonna make it stricter.
But, and, hold on, Mark. The other thing is, if it's a home that's over 3,000 square feet,
That's not
I
a
mean,
small home.
that's not a small home.
No.
That's, and
But you also said new commercial too.
It
So,
says,
I
it
mean,
says the municipality must require all new residential construction over 3,000 square feet and all new commercial and industrial real estate construction to minimize to the extent feasible the life cycle cost of facilities buildings by utilizing energy efficient water, conservation, and other renewable and alternative energy technologies. And that incorporates the stretch code.
And, I mean, in this day and age when we need to.
I think it's gonna pay, as a
Need to
homeowner,
work.
if you're building a 3,000 square.
but
foot
we're trying to attract commercial business in, and now something you're gonna add more cost to them. So in a way, we're trying to attract good business, but then we're gonna, but you can only build this way. So I'm probably where you were last week. So
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, and that's the way I was until after I looked at it at a different view. I'm seeing that scale equal off. But the difference of that is, after 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, the homeowner is gonna be paying less and less each time.
Just say they
With the
offset.
prescriptive, it's not gonna be going down, that's what it is, the whole period that you have your house. Again, it is over the 3,000 square foot house, that's required. It's not, and again, the HERS rating is less restrictive than the prescriptive. The reason why people go to the prescriptive, because they can get a disc and do all that calculations themselves, instead of paying $1,200 to $1,800. I mean, it varies between the different countries. But they gotta spend more money on material to get what the res check would say. So
I think
it does average out.
From a commercial standpoint, a business, if they're operating like a business, they're gonna look at it as an investment. They're not gonna look at it and say, oh geez, if you're cutting your margins that thin where you can't afford to bring a building up to a certain code, then, I question the business model.
really, okay, then I wanna know, what would it do to the construction of the police station? If the police station, we had to go out to bid, and we had to make that within the stretch code, what would the initial cost of that police station be? Would it be $1 million more, $500,000 more? So, I mean, those are the kinds of questions that I have, that's all.
Mm.
Uh,
Well, I
those
can
those
find
are-
that out.
My question would be, would it be any more, I believe the
It's not
design
considered,
is,
it's a public building too, it's not a commercial building.
the design of the, police station is about as energy efficient
I
as
agree with
as
you.
can.
And
So, I mean,
I
don't-
suspect
I
that it
don't-
would meet that
I-
code anyway.
I agree. Anyway,
Mark, you had a question?
I'm not there.
This type of plan is that individuals building houses and raising families have the right to choose how they raise their families and the type of healthy environment they put them in. Sealed houses create some health issues, potential health issues, especially when it is a radon problem that comes up. And, you know, being in that tighter sealed environment, it's more energy efficient, but it's really not doing you much good if it's has long-term health effects.
Well, one of the
Has
things is,
anybody done-
is
has
air
anybody
exchange.
done
Yes.
long-term studies on the health effects of living inside a hermetically sealed house?
Mm. No, and I agree with that. But that part of the is testing for like air quality as part of the HERS. You know, you're gonna have a radon test. There's ways that you mitigate radon by putting pea stone down, and you know, there's all kinds of ways that, you know, you can take that out of the
People who
equation.
live in tight houses that open their doors in the wintertime to let fresh air in.
Yeah.
So the energy efficient theory goes out, literally out the door.
Yeah.
So I guess. it
Well,
really
I think
depends.
most houses that are
I mean,
that tight have an
I
air
would-
exchange
Right.
It's an air
systems like
exchange
that.
system. yeah.
So-
They do, and
Uh,
if they're functioning properly, but those
well-
are high maintenance items, those
Well,
air exchanges.
Yes, so,
Are a high maintenance item, and it's, you know, some homeowners, maybe if they're building a $500,000 house, they have a maintenance contract and it gets taken care of. Lesser houses aren't gonna be able to afford that expense, and if it's under 3,000 square feet, I guess they don't have to implement it, correct?
Yeah, if it's under 3,000, they have to fill that code. So it's only over 3,000. And that's a big house.
Oh, Michael.
You know, that's not a
Air
tiny
makeup
house.
machines, you can get an air makeup machine for basements, number one, because of the ventilation down there. And those machines are $300-400 to get that machine, to get the air makeup, to condition that room. It's not as expensive as you think. I thought they were expensive until we had to have a homeowner put one in, and it was like $3 and change.
But you still have to run the machine.
Still have to run the machine, but it's like putting your lights on. You know, it's not the cost that you think, or it's not the cost that I was thinking before until I actually saw it. And you don't have to have it running all the time. It's like putting lights on.
It's not, by doing this, we're not becoming a green community. We're preparing to become a green
Would
community.
this also apply to residential outbuildings that were larger than 3,000 square feet?
That I don't
No,
know.
it's for dwellings.
yeah.
It's only for
Yeah, it's for dwellings.
Yeah, you mean like a garage?
Garage,
Yeah.
Yeah. No, it's designed for a dwelling, live.
Well, if it's a
habitable
commercial
space.
garage, and it's over, you know,
well, commercial buildings and or dwellings.
so. I just think it's something at this point maybe we can explore, and if the board so desires, I'll pursue it. If the board says no, then I will not file the application.
Okay, so,
Why don't you have somebody come in to the board and talk about it?
What's that?
Have somebody come in and talk?
Well, the application has to be in within 2 weeks, so hopefully we'll,
You guys can vote on it.
Oh, man, I would support it.
I'll second your motion, George. All in favor?
Aye.
No.
All right, turning it over to the Personnel Board.
Okay. I have David Dimash to the Serped effective May 22nd, 2019.
Make a motion.
Do you have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right. Michael Dejanese as part-time dispatcher effective April 16th. Oh, I guess he's already there. 2019.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And same with Samantha Cardin, part-time dispatcher.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
All right, Gary Martinez, Finance Committee Public Records Clerk, effective May 7th, 2019.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And a letter of resignation from Mike McHugh as the Zoning Board of Appeals, effective June 30th, 2019.
Motion?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. And delegation of change of status forms.
Yes. We've spoken in the past about having David sign off on the change of status forms. There's really no reason for them to come before the board. And so I believe there was a need to make a motion to change that activity. Okay.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
make a
fine.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Done.
All right, the board will be going into executive session now, not to return to open.
Well, you meant, did you, was there something that you said you had?
No,
all right.
no, you caught that, it was about the dam.
No.
So, under Massachusetts General Law, Chapter 30A, Section 21, subsection A, Paragraph 3, to discuss strategy with respect to litigation if an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the litigating position of the public body and the chair so desires, or D. Lawless versus the town of Freetown and others. Same Massachusetts chapters and sections to discuss strategy with respect to collective bargaining with the Public Employees Union, Local 1144, Luna Clerical Bargaining Unit, because an open meeting may have a detrimental effect on the bargaining position of the public body, and the chair so declares, which she does. And last item, same chapter and section, to discuss the deployment of or strategy regarding security personnel. So I'll accept a motion to go into executive session.
So moved.
Motion made and seconded. All in favor?
Aye.
Ms. Pacheco?
Yes.
Mr. Grunwall?
Yes.
Mr. Sullivan, yes.